Yeah.
Good rolling bean pie, the best on earth. Baked freshly daily, rolling bean pie. Get yours today. Call us at area code 216-355-9702. We will deliver to you. Call us, get yours now. Bean pie. It's good. Yeah, I love it.
All right, right now, like I said at the onset of the show, we got a really great guy coming up here, an entrepreneur right here in these streets of Cleveland, Ohio, Mr. Erving Aniton.
Hey, oh, let's do it, yeah! Drug dealing music.
How y'all doing? From Cleveland Corporate Transport. How you doing, Erving?
Pretty good, and yourself?
Glad to have you, man.
Glad to be here.
First of all, now you've been in the business of driving limousines for 20 years.
That's correct. I've been driving for 20 years, been going around with different various companies, and also been driving motor coaches, and I also was driving tractor trailers, so I really enjoyed.
You were driving them motor coaches out of state?
Yes, sir. We were driving them all over the places, going to different casinos, taking family reunions, taking kids to camp. And those big giant motor coaches hold probably about 55 people.
Now I gotta imagine being in that line of work, being in that business. You see a lot of stuff happening.
In the limousine business, you definitely do.
Yeah,
especially when it comes down to proms and things of that nature. Majority of the proms and stuff, you see a lot of cool fashion dressers. You know, with the students going out and they're having a good time, and it's the first time that they've been able to just dress up and just have a nice, elegant ball.
That's got to be fulfilling to be a part of that, you know, to see that, because this is young people, they're starting out in their lives, and you know, they're dressing up, having fun for their homecomings and for their, you know, graduations, and you're picking them up and you're seeing it in their eyes. You know, is it fulfilling?
Well, it gives you a gratitude to be a little bit happy that the students are not out drinking and driving. When you call a limousine service, the parents feel more secure knowing that their kids are going out, having their first time to be close to being an adult, and also being safe by driving, having someone to drive them around. So
right.
it works out, and the parents are happy with it, and the kids are ecstatic, you know, just happen to be jumping inside of a limousine.
Right. Now, I'll be watching all the movies and old movies and stuff, and it seems like they always trying to pressure the driver into doing things he don't want to do. Hey, man, hit this, you know?
Right.
Does that ever happen to you, man?
Well, no, not necessarily, because I remember
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. I had a student. I was driving the bus, and I had a bunch of students up in the heights, you know. And then I was driving, and in my side mirror, my rearview mirror, I was able to see a student take a flask out of his pocket.
Right.
So he took the flask out of his pocket. I pulled over after we got away from the parents and stuff, and I told the student, I said, look, man, it's good to have a good time, but this is not the place and the time to do this.
Right.
Now, this flash that you have, he said, oh, it's not mine. I said, I know it's not yours. It's mine now. So, and I told him that if
because you got to commandeer those situations.
That's correct.
Because your career's on the line.
Right. If they get caught drinking and I'm driving, and it's my fault also.
Okay.
So I took the flash. And the gentleman was like, at the end of the night, can I get it back? I said, what? What are we talking about? There's nothing here, because if there was something here, then I would be able to stop the run, and then your parents would be upset with you. So what are we talking about?
Right.
And he just walked back and sat down.
Right. You gotta love that. You gotta love that, because he could have been a real prick about it. You know, he could have pulled over as soon as he seen it,
right,
and be like, get out, you know, or end the ride right then and there.
Because we still get paid.
Okay.
We still get paid. But, you know, I didn't want this to be a blemish on their adult starting kid.
Right. Now, in that line of work, it seems to me that you have to be real humble, too, because people feel like, you know, when they got a limousine driver, they've made it to a certain plateau in their career, and they can just be faking the funk. So they might want to act fly with the limo driver, you know, talk smart to you, talk slick to you.
For the adult part of it, majority of the adults, they be like, can we smoke in the car? I said, anything that I smell, you can't do.
You can do?
You cannot do.
Oh, you cannot do.
Right.
Okay.
You cannot do.
Anything you can smell.
Anything I can smell. So if she happens to be that way, you can't do that.
Come on, you mean to tell me people ain't never slid you that extra $200-300 to close them blinds?
No.
That never worked like that.
That don't work. So
Now,
but majority of the time. But then, if you're sitting around in the car, I get limousines every now and then.
right.
And then when I take people to the concerts, so when they go to the concerts, I run back to my house because when you're inside of the concert, you're there for maybe about 2 or 3 hours.
Right.
A lot of kids in the inner city, only times they'd be in a limousine is somebody happened to pass.
Right.
So I swing in my neighborhood, I pick up a bunch of kids. I might have some money in my pocket, and I give the kids some money, and we drive up to the store, pull up in the limousine, and then I pop up in the door, and the kids get out like they showing and this, that, and the other, and they get tickled to death about doing that. And it makes them feel good about it.
Give it up. How real is that? You gotta love that. So anybody that's watching this that live anywhere near Mr. Erving, you better continue to be good to this guy. Erving here has over 20 years in the business.
Yeah.
And that's big to be in there. But he's took it to another level where he went and started his own company. How many people do that? That's real. Got to congratulate you on that.
Thank you.
How many people do it?
What did you learn with you throughout those 20 years that you took with you now?
Learning to know that I like to drive, and I like to be able to talk to different people while I'm on the bus.
You got to be a people
You gotta
person.
be a people person. And you also got to be a little bit knowledgeable about just different things in general. The service that I provide with people is I pick up a lot of corporate people. They come in from out of town. I pick them up from the airport. They give me a text message to let me know their flight number and the airlines that they're using.
Right.
And the way that I have it is that on my cell phone, which you got an app for everything.
Right.
So I have a tracking for my cell phone that I can be able to track your flight and to be able to know if you're delayed or not.
Wow. The high technology
Yes.
nowadays.
And then also the Square helps me out a great deal also when you do the credit cards, because I can do my credit cards with my phone.
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, what made you decide you wanted to leave those companies and start your own?
Because I was making them successful. And I was just thinking that if I'm helping this company out and making them look good and blowing them up and people was loving the service and stuff like that, the majority of the service is me.
Right.
So now it's time for me to make myself better.
Step out on your own merit.
Right. And then start up there and then start making my own business. Because, jobs these days is hard. People come to work, they bust their butt, they spend 20 years doing what they're supposed to do, and then all of a sudden somebody wakes up in the middle of the night and says, I'm gonna fire somebody.
Right.
And then you come to work all happy to be there, and some guy might not have had an argument with his wife, or or a dog bit him in the butt or something like that.
Right.
He gonna come back and take it out on you.
Right.
And so he can walk up to you and say, hey man, it's not working for us.
Right.
And then that's the end of your career.
You had to have a whole lot of courage to want to step out on your faith in yourself and do for yourself and start your own business. It had to take a lot of courage.
It does. And like they say, whenever a door closes, another door opens. And a lot of people, when they get so placed in a job, and then when they finally get thrown out or something happens to them,
right,
they will get into denial. They'll feel that they're not worth anything, and they have to realize they'll just lose self-confidence in themselves, And it's a time when they need to turn around and just pick themselves up by the bootstrap and say, hey, I made this company successful. Now it's time for me to be doing something successful,
right.
And that helps them out a great deal,
right?
Because it's out there, opportunity is there. The president is now letting everybody know that the regular jobs that we had before would not be there, and now it's up to us to evolve in ourselves and start doing something for ourselves to make ourselves better instead of worrying about everybody else.
Real talk.
Yeah.
It's been a year. You got a year under your belt.
Right.
Running your own company.
Yeah.
What have you learned in these early days? A year in. They do that to the president. A year later, how far the president has got? How far? How is it? You've been in a year. What is it like now running your own business, doing for yourself?
Well, running my own business and doing it for myself,
Yeah.
you have no set hours. You're up at the middle of the night. You'll go to. I started my day at 4 o'clock this morning, and my last run could be at 1 o'clock the next morning.
Right.
So when you have your own job, you have to put in the time for it until the businesses start picking up, and then you can be able to make your own schedule. And the other thing that I learned about this business is gas fluctuates something fierce.
Right.
I lose gas left and right. Man, I'll go through maybe about $2,000 in fuel.
Wow.
Because
What,
of the
a
gas
month?
prices. Yeah, a month.
Wow. I think you got a question.
So, do you think, I got a question of whether, so would you say as a person that works a regular job versus a person who owns a business, which is harder and why?
Well, one thing about when you're working for a business and you're working for a company, you at least know that your check comes in
Every
and
2
you
weeks.
make how much you make every pay. With your own business, it fluctuates. One week you might be able to make over $1,000. The following week you might be only make $5. So it fluctuates. You got to take the bitter with the sweet with that. But the main thing about having your own business is just knowing that you taking control of your own destiny.
Right.
And if you wake up in the morning and you feel refreshed and you're like, hey, we're going to do this, then you can tackle anything that you want to do. But when you work for a business, it's mostly like you're in, you do what you got to do, and you go home. And you get placed with that. Right. Right. That's what it is. And it doesn't change. And it starts to mind the thinking that you can do more. You know, that you can figure out. You sit down and say, well, what can I do to make my business better? And then you start applying yourself. And if you know that you're starting applying yourself, there's nothing that you can't do if you apply yourself. The problem with a lot of other people is that when they get up to a job that they don't like, they just doing it, they're just going through the emotions just to be able to make a paycheck.
Sure. Now that you're your own driver and it's your business and you don't have to worry about answering to anybody, do you have any reservations at all about networking with important people that get in your vehicles?
Well, in a certain, you had to really keep it professional, because if you're a very professional and worldly person and everybody knows you, that when you happen to get into my limousine, I can't be a groupie, because I really enjoy your show and I like being here and I want to just hang out with you all the time.
Right.
But we had to keep it on the professional level. You know, it's sir and yes, sir.
Of course.
You know, and then we'll keep it personal until the client step out and want to let you know that he wants to be more personal with you.
Okay, that's how you
So
do
that's how it goes off. At first it starts off by being professional, and if the client enjoys it, and then he sees that you're a cool person, then it goes from there.
Are you going out tonight or this weekend? If so, you're looking good. So now, why don't you get the smell good? Get your body oil only at the Clarity Oil Shop. Stop in or call us. 216-355-9702. Get yours today. Oil Shop. Smell good.